Hello, friends. Welcome to Time Classes. Today, we are going to talk about vocabulary. We all know that vocab is something that is very important in most of the competitive exams that we take. And unfortunately, most of our students are not very confident about their vocab. Now, what is the reason? Why are we not confident about our vocab? The obvious answer is that we don't do much reading. And in our growing years in school, we did not concentrate much on our vocabulary. And therefore, when we come to a stage where we have to write a competitive examination, we feel that we are not up to the mark when it comes to vocabulary. Now, how do we generally improve our vocabulary? I'm sure all of you know the answer to this also. The only way to improve your vocabulary can be by reading. And if we don't read, then we cannot probably do improvement in our vocab. Now, do we really read? Was this a requirement in school also when we were asked to write some examinations? Was it necessary that we read during those examinations also? The answer is yes, because I agree that you had readers to go through, and if you knew the words of those meanings that were there in the readers, you could very likely clear the examinations with some good marks. But then, what about your unseen passages? Could there be some challenges of vocabulary in the unseen passages? And could there be some words which were not there in your readers? Probably yes. We did see some new words coming in the unseen passages, and therefore we must understand that even our class 12th boards, they also expect us to have a good vocabulary outside the scope of the readers. Now, if we did not read much, then we cannot come across those new words that are introduced in the unseen passages. So we should not feel that this is a new requirement that is there for these entrance examinations that you're going to sit for. It has been there since school. Now, the point is that what is the conventional way of improving our vocabulary? The conventional way of improving your vocabulary would be where you would read, come across new words, open your dictionaries, and nowadays dictionaries are no problem because you can open your phones also to look up the meaning. So you open your dictionaries, look up the word, and try to understand the meaning of the word. Now, there could be some more than one meaning also of the word, and therefore we are supposed to know all the meanings of the word. Now, what do we do after that? We probably think of some synonyms and antonyms to make out of those words so that we can probably remember that word for a longer period. And we are also expected to make some sentences so that that word finally registers in our head and we remember the meaning maybe for the rest of our life. But then this exercise is a very, very long drawn exercise, and it is not easy to come across new words, find new antonyms, synonyms, and then finally make some sentences also and wait for the next word to come. This is actually the conventional way of improving our vocabulary. We understand that the preparation time that you have between now and the real examination is around 30 to 45 days. Now, in the next 30 to 45 days, how can we best prepare ourselves with a good vocabulary is a huge task. And the problem is that vocabulary or the list of words is so huge that you can never be sure which words are going to come in your examination and therefore do a kind of a selective preparation. Keeping this in mind, we have devised a few strategies on how to improve our vocabulary. We'll be discussing this in our sessions beginning now, and we'll be seeing how we can improve our vocabularies. Now, one way, before I begin with the PPT session that we have today for you, one way that we can improve our vocabulary is by looking at the word, not just the word, but also the parts of the word. For example, if I give you a word, let's say biology. All of you familiar with this word? Very common word. You probably studied this subject also. So when we look at this word biology, we can actually split the word. Let's assume that you don't know the meaning of the word, and we can actually split the word into two parts. The first part being bio, and the second part being logi. Now, bio means life, and logi obviously would mean something to do with study or learning. So, learning about life is what this word actually means. So, if somebody doesn't know the meaning of the word biology, he can probably break it up into two parts and try to understand how we can improve our how we can come across the meaning of this word. All right. Now, similarly, if I know the meaning of the word bio, and if I add the word graph into it, or biography, what does it mean? What does graph mean? You know the word biography, I'm sure. But then what does the word graph mean? Graph means writing. So, literally, what it means is that you write about somebody's life. And if it is done by the person himself, then the word we get is autobiography. Auto, we all know, means self. Therefore, when we say that the word autobiography, it literally means a piece of writing about somebody's life by himself would be autobiography. All right. Uh, Here we also have a word, let's say autograph. Autograph also, we all know, it's a piece of writing written by somebody, and therefore it becomes autograph. So, this is another way of improving our vocabulary, and this would deal with words that we have for by looking at the parts of the words and not really the whole word. All right. And if we know these meanings of these parts, then we can probably come closer to the meaning of the word. All right. We'll do this in some other session in detail, and we'll try to teach you how we can connect with the parts of the word. And now, talking about the exam, let me also tell you there are about 10 to 15 questions purely coming on vocab or antonyms, synonyms and antonyms. And as you all know, that even the rest of the entire English examination is going to be based on vocab. So we'll find it in our paragraphs, we'll find it in our unseen passages or so called reading comprehension questions. Therefore, we'll see these kind of questions throughout our examination. All right. Now, today we're going to talk about another way that we use to improve our vocabulary. And this is called the visual vocabulary. Now, what we're going to see over here is that we will see a visual, we'll see a picture, and along with that, we'll also try to see a word. And then we'll try to figure out if this word has some relevance with the picture. Once we have this word coming to our mind with the picture also in place, we'll be able to connect faster, and probably it becomes a strong, it becomes a strong part of our memory because of the presence of the picture. So we'll come across some words here, and we'll try to do this exercise, and I'm sure you'll be able to see the pictures also and associate the meaning of the word that is given alongside. So let's start with our first word that we have here, and we'll try to figure out the meaning of this word. Now, here we have this word called burgeon. We see an office space where we've got a window, and through the window we can see some buildings, and also see some buildings there, and a person is remarking, it is unbelievable how the city has burgeoned. A decade ago, there were only a few houses here. So I'm sure you can understand the meaning of the word burgeon, which from the statement itself tells us that he's talking about a place where there were just a few houses 10 years ago, and now the city has burgeoned. That means we are talking about something to do with grown rapidly. And therefore, the word burgeon would mean something that grows and grows very fast. And therefore, let's see what the meaning is given over here. And it says, burgeon is a verb. It tells you the part of speech that it belongs to, and it also tells us to grow and flourish. Gives you an example, the burgeoning administration, the burgeoning population, the burgeoning popularity of BJP or any other, society we can talk about. So, and another explanation is to produce buds, branches, or germinate. For example, the potatoes burgeoned forth. So, we get the meaning of this, and we also have another word here that is mnemonic. Now, do you all understand the meaning of the word mnemonic? Because mnemonic has MNE before it. And MNE, does it bring a word to your mind? For example, the word amnesia. We've got MNE here, and I'm sure you know the meaning of the word amnesia. It means sleeplessness or lack of sleep. So, or amnesia would relate to memory. Sorry, it'll relate to memory. So, amnesia would be a loss of memory. Therefore, we understand that MNE relates to memory. So, A before it. What does A indicate before a word? For example, we have the word symmetrical and asymmetrical. So, what does asymmetrical mean? Something that does not have symmetry. Similarly, we have a word theist. And before this, if we put an A, it becomes atheist. And atheist stands for non-believer. Therefore, a theist is a believer. So, a person who does not believe in God is called an atheist. Hence, what we understand is that A in the beginning, in many words, will tell us that this is telling us not, or giving us a sense of not or without. So, when we look at the word amnesia, because MNE relates to memory, therefore, this would mean no memory or lack of memory. Therefore, this word relates to memory. All right. Now we've got the word mnemonic. So, what does mnemonic mean? Anything that helps in building your memory is called a mnemonic. So, the word mnemonic is to be understood as a hint or a suggestion for you that could help you remember the meaning of the word. All right. And what does it tell us as a mnemonic? It's something that you could probably associate with the word burgeon, has the sense of a burger. I'm sure burgeon will remind you of a burger. And what happens if you eat a lot of burgers? You probably become fat and gain weight. And therefore, the word burgeon, you should be reminded of the word burger, and having a lot of burgers will make you fat, and therefore you grow. So you get that meaning. And of course, if you look at the word burgeon in the sense of growing, or if you look at the Hindi part of it, it is actually bado or geo. So literally, the word means that when you grow or flourish, then you are actually burgeoning. So this word can be associated with a burger or bado or geo. Uh, Next, we have the word candor. Now, candor, if you remember this scene, which has been taken from one of the popular movies that we've had in the past, Three Idiots. Now, what does this remind you of? Probably the interview time that he went through. And what kind of an interview was it? Completely honest. He did not hide anything from the interviewer and told him all about his weaknesses. And this is what the word candor also means. When you're very honest and upfront, then you're being candid. We also have a word candid, which means frank, upfront, honest, and the quality that you have is, when you be candid, then the quality that you have is of candor. So candor is being honest. And if you look at the mnemonic over here, it says candor is a noun. It's an abstract noun because it's a quality, and therefore it tells us that it is an ability to make judgments free from any kind of discrimination or dishonesty. All right. And therefore, the second explanation is also very clear: the quality of being honest and straightforward in attitude as well as speech. All right. And now we look at the mnemonic as well. Mnemonic is talking about candor as something where you have a can do kind of an attitude. Remember the character in this picture, he had that can do attitude. He clearly said in the interview that I am ready to change myself completely. And therefore, he showed that can do attitude, and it was done with complete candor, complete honesty. All right. So, having a can do attitude will remind you of the word candor. Now, next word is senile. What do we see here within the picture? There's an old man looking at himself in the mirror, and probably he's not able to recognize the man himself. And he says, I remember the face, but I've forgotten your name. So, what do you think this word could actually mean? Now, just to inform you that SEN relates to old or old age. For example, the simple word that we have is senior, even senior as SEN, which really refers to old, because this word sen relates to old age. For example, there's also a word which is senescent. Senescent, he died of a senescent disease. Now, when we talk about somebody dying from a senescent disease, what are we talking about? Which kind of a disease could it be? Something that afflicts people at old age. And therefore, the word senescent would relate to an disease relating to old age. All right. Similarly, we have the word senile. Now, what does senile mean? If I give you the Hindi meaning, you'll probably feel amused. The Hindi meaning for this word is satyana. So, when we talk about somebody going senile, we are actually talking about he going weak in the mind, weak in the brain. And that's how we deal with this word senile. Somebody's gone senile means he's become weak in the mind. His ability to think has become very weak. And that is how we use the word senile. All right. Let's see the mnemonic also. It says, first it explains, which says mentally or physically infirm with age. His mother was senile and frail. Frail is another word that we come across. What does the word frail mean? Weak. So his mother was senile and frail. And we also have the word infirm, infirm with age. Infirm relates to becoming weak. Firm, we all know, infirm is giving that opposite to it, like competent and incompetent. Therefore, infirm means somebody who's gone weak. He's not firm enough, strong enough. And now we also look at the mnemonic. Now, what does the mnemonic say? Mnemonic says senile has got something to do with the Nile. Nile, we all know, is the longest river that we have. Therefore, senile, if I ask somebody to go see the Nile, you can imagine how long it will take for him to see the entire length of the Nile, and therefore he'll probably become very old by the time he sees the entire length of Nile. So senile can be remembered as see the Nile. Next, we'll take, oh, there's somebody lying there. And does it look to be a coronavirus patient? Anyway, we see a patient lying on the bed. He looks to be very weak and thin, suffering from some kind of illness. And we also have a priest who's probably giving some holy water to the patient. And the word that we come across is called cadaverous. Now, what does the word cadaverous mean? Before I move into the word cadaverous, I'd like to ask you, what is a dead body called? A dead body is called a corpse. Now, corpse is a dead body of a human being. What is a dead body of an animal? A dead body of an animal is called a carcass. All right. So, this definitely the word relates to dead body, but not completely. So, what are we looking at? We are looking at a word cadaverous. Now, if I give you the word cadaver, the word cadaver means a dead body. It could be of an animal or a human being, but a dead body that is used in medical hospitals or to teach students of medicine. And when they use a dead body to demonstrate or to show something or to conduct a test on, that body is called a cadaver. All right. So we've got these three words which all relate to dead body, but they have different meanings. Now these different meanings should be understood. We cannot relate to a dead body of an animal to be a corpse. So this is important, that while you improve on your vocabulary, you should also be able to look at some associated words. All right. Now coming back to the word cadaver, cadaver, as you know, as I told you, is a body that is used for medical in the medical field, and used for teaching students of medicine. Now, the word cadaverous. Now, cadaverous doesn't essentially mean a dead body. Cadaverous means a person who, or a body that resembles a dead body. In other words, a person who's gone weak. We learned the word frail. A person who's become infirm because of lack of food, or has been ill for a long time. Somebody ill for, a month. Somebody not had food for 10 days. That kind of a person would be called cadaverous. All right. And we also have another word for cadaverous, and that is emaciated. Emaciated and cadaverous, both similar. All right. Somebody looking emaciated means looking very pale, thin, weak because of illness or lack of food. All right. So these two words are related to being same. And we look what the mnemonic says. The mnemonic talks about it shows us that it is an adjective. Now, please also remember a suffix, words that come at the end, OUS. The words that have OUS at the end, most of the time, are nouns, are adjectives, I'm sorry. So they are adjectives, all right? So he talks about the definition as very thin because of a disease, hunger, or cold. He also uses the word emaciated here, emaciated, cadaverous hands, or relating to a cadaver or corpse. And the mnemonic says the word can be broken into kala and ras. I'm sure Many of you may have been asked by your grandmothers to drink some, bitter drink in your childhood, all right, or even nowadays. Grandmothers are very concerned about the health, and therefore they like to offer some bitter, juices to their grandchildren, so that their blood gets purified. They don't have pimples on the face, which I'm sure many people may be fighting with. So, this cadaverous is supposed to be a very, very bitter drink. And the word cadaverous can relate to the word kala and ras. And of course, when somebody sees that, kala ras, he almost falls sick seeing that or drinking that. And therefore, this kala can be related to the word cadaverous, makes you feel sick. All right. So this is the kind of mnemonic that we can use to memorize the meaning of the word. All right. Now, next is browbeat. What do we see over here? We see a goon kind of a person trying to hold on to the throat of another person, a weakling, and giving those threatening looks. The word browbeat actually means that. All right. Browbeat relates to brows, we all know, are the hairline that we have on top of our eyes, and we we relate it to browbeating. When you stretch your brows and look at somebody threateningly, then you are browbeating him. Browbeating, in other words, can also relate to, if you look at the mnemonic here, the mnemonic would be, uh, we can see the mnemonic, which could mean bro and beat. Any of you have a elder brother? How does he treat you? I'm sure some of you might have been bullied by your elder brother when you were young. And sometimes it is just the opposite. You bully your elder brothers. So it could be either way, but then the meaning of the word browbeat, which has the big bro sense in it, means to be bossy towards, or discourage or frighten somebody with threats, or in a domineering manner. Now, maybe a new word for you: domineering manner. Domineering, when you're domineering, that means you're trying to dominate over others, and to be bossy over others, to bully somebody, is browbeat. And definitely, we should think of the big bro when we are looking at this word browbeat. All right. Another word here, intimidated. Now, how do we look at the word intimidated? We should know that Tim relates to fear. For example, the word timid. Somebody who's scared or full of fear is timid. So the word timid is there in this word also, intimidated. And we should remember from here that if we have an ate at the end, intimidate. So intimidate, ate at the end, it means that it is most likely a verb. Words like meditate, hesitate, relate, they're all verbs. So at at the end also tells me that I'm dealing with a verb. All right. So intimidate means to threaten somebody, to scare somebody, to instill fear in somebody is intimidate. All right. So the word browbeat is when we are trying to instill fear in somebody. All right. So we'll now move on to the next word, and the next word is callous. Now, we see some feet here, and we see some kind of growth. I'm sure some of you may have seen this in elders, or sometimes it's people who do a lot of physical labor. They develop this kind of a round patch on their feet. All right. Now, this round patch, which is actually dead skin, this round patch is called a corn. All right. A lot of people who do physical labor, or even sometimes when the shoes are very tight, your footwear is very tight, then we develop some kind of blisters. All right. Now, those blisters can become a corn later on when the skin over there becomes hard, and it's quite painful. So we call this corn. Now, how is it different from callus? Callus is not a round kind of a patch, it's a longish patch. All right. So it's a patch which develops under our feet, and it's big in size, and can be very painful. So that is called a callus. Now, callus very clearly has the words call and us. And if you look at the mnemonics of this word, what could it mean? Clearly, callus means any hardened part, all right, hardened skin, or an area of skin that is thick or hard from continual pressure. Now, another word here, continual. How will you understand the meaning of this word continual? I'm sure you all know the meaning of the word continuous, but is continual same as continuous? For example, I may say it rained continuously for 3 hours. Can I also say it rained continually for 3 hours? Can this word replace this word? Yes, it can. But does the meaning change? Now, continuously, we all know that it means without stopping. Continually means something that happened at regular intervals. So when we say it rained continually for 3 hours, it means that it rained, then stopped, then again rained, then again stopped. So this happened at regular intervals, and this is called continually. We have another word for this, and that is intermittent. Something that happens at regular intervals is called intermittent. So continually relates to at regular intervals with some pause in between. That is the meaning of the word continually. Anyway, coming back to callus, uh, it's also the explanation given is a bony tissue formed during the healing of a fractured bone. So sometimes, there is some kind of a tissue that forms on the bone, a cracked bone, that is also called a callus. All right. But whether it's an external thing or an internal thing, we certainly know that if somebody has a callus, he needs to see the doctor, and therefore he has to call us. So say the doctors that in case you have a callus, call us. And that's how we can probably understand the meaning of the word. All right. We'll move to the next word, and the word is recontour. Now, what do we see over here? We see a person sitting there with three other people around him. He's sitting in the middle. And what do you think this word means? Recontour. Any clue? Okay. Raconteur means a person who enjoys sharing stories with others. He wants to tell anecdotes, tell old stories, old events that happened, and he gets some kind of an enjoyment out of that. This is called this person is called a raconteur. So he gathers stories, probably adds a little masala to it, and relates it to others. This is what he enjoys doing, and this person is called a raconteur. So how do we understand the deeper meaning of this, or how do we memorize the meaning of this word? The mnemonic says a person skilled in telling anecdotes. Anecdotes, I hope you all understand. Anecdotes are some events that have happened in the past, may be true, may not be true, may be true partially, but that's how we talk about anecdotes. All right. And now look at the mnemonic. The mnemonic very clearly says raconteur is the one who thinks and narrates a story, or a person who writes a story. And raconteur or recanti. Now, does this meaning or the word bring some memories of a person in your neighborhood? Somebody who gives you all the information of what is happening in the neighborhood, that kind of a person is also a raconteur. All right. And we've created a fictitious person over here called Rekha. So if Rekha auntie is giving you all the information about the neighborhood, then she's definitely a raconteur. All right. And what happens when she does too much of this? Probably you need to shed a tear also at the way she goes on and on and on. It probably moves you to tears. So that's how we can probably understand the word raconteur, thinking of Rekha auntie. All right. Now the next one, please. Oh, now here's a person who's lying on his back, and it seems that he's had a little too much. And the word that we are dealing with is obnoxious. Now, before I tell you the meaning of the word obnoxious or relate with this, I like to give you one or two other, you know, words that you should know. For example, we have words that have NIC in it, NOC in it, NOX in it, and also NEC in it. All four of them would relate to something which would mean harm. Something harmful is NOC, NEC, NIC, NOX. Now, very simple word nicotine. Nicotine is certainly harmful. So says our English language also. All right. And if I give you a word, innocuous. Now, here is a word which is innocuous. Could you guess the meaning of this word? Is it harm or just the opposite of harm? Because I've got a in before NOC, so should this word not mean harmless instead of harmful? If I use nocuous, then it should become harmful, but innocuous should give you the meaning of harmless. All right. And if you look at this word noxious, we talk about some noxious gases. Now, noxious gases certainly would mean harmful gases. All right. And how will we look at the word obnoxious? Obnoxious also means a person who's repulsive, whose presence you can't tolerate, a person who irritates you, a person who you don't want to be with. That kind of a person is obnoxious, irritating kind of a person. And if we look at the meaning over here, obnoxious is saying causing disapproval. Somebody who's vulgar and obnoxious person is obnoxious. This means he irritates you. Undesirable person is obnoxious. And we should certainly remember the noxious gases that we talked about, because if we remove we get the word noxious, which means harmful or poisonous. So noxious and OB can stand for obviously, certainly, noxious or harmful. So we talk about noxious gases as well as some obnoxious people. Remember, obnoxious for people and noxious for gases or some other elements. But we can't call a person noxious. Obnoxious is for people. Okay, let's move to the next word now. Oh, I'm sure you recognize these characters. The character on the right is Kamala San, and I don't know whether you've seen this movie or not. Probably you were very small when this movie came. This movie is Chachi 420. All right, and Kamal Hassan is the character. He played the lead character here. If you remember a little bit of the story, now what happens in this is that Kamal Hassan is married to a woman, and for some reason, his wife leaves him and leaves the home, goes back to her parents' home. Kamal Hassan is deeply in love with him, and he cannot tolerate her absence. So he wants to get her back, but she won't listen. So what he does is he moves into her parents' home, acting, posing as a servant in their home, and works like a servant in their home, but dressed as a woman. So he moves into their home dressed as a woman. And there, the entire movie, he works in their home as a woman and is actually trying to woo his wife back into his home. And that's the story. Now, this story, this movie, Chachi 420, is based on this Hollywood movie called Mrs. Doubtfire. Mrs. Doubtfire is played by this man called Robin Williams. And the story is based on the same lines. As I told you, Chachi 420 is a remake of this movie. This came somewhere around 1993, and then Chachi 420 was made after this. And we are dealing with the word incognito. All right, now what does the word incognito mean? For your information, COGN or COGNO or simply COGNOT or even CGN, which will relate to know. The meaning of these words would have an element of knowing something, being aware of something. Very simple word if I give you, recognize. So the word recognize also has COGN and it means to know, to be aware. So we talk about cognitive senses. Senses are awareness, being aware. All right. Uh, And when we look at these words, they'll have something to do with awareness or knowing. And if we put an in between before it, then what should it mean? Incognito. So in would mean not aware, not knowing. Therefore, the word incognito will have something to do with not knowing something. And if you look at the mnemonic of this word, what should it mean? With your identity concealed, without revealing one's identity. And he gives us an example. In Holland, he lived incognito as a carpenter. So nobody knew his real identity. He lived as a carpenter over there. That's what this word means. And incognito very clearly has the meaning of the word cognition or recognize and awareness, and therefore in before that would mean something that you are not aware of. Therefore we get incognito. All right. We'll move on to the next word now. Stolid. Now let's see what this conversation is all about. We begin with the mother. The mother tells the child, you need to get up for your final exams. The child says, I'll do it when the exams come near. I hope none of you have done this kind of a preparation. So she says, I'll do it when the exams are near. Now, the father is not very happy, probably. He says, your stolid behavior will not take you far. So, what kind of a behavior is this when you say that I'll do it later? It doesn't matter. Stolid means when you don't show a lot of emotions or a lot of feelings, or you don't really care for the feelings, then you are being stolid. So, lack of feelings, hiding your emotions is called stolid. Now, if you look at the mnemonic of this word, it means that we've got the word stolid to mean something to do with solid. Absolutely solid, not listening to anything. So, what are you doing? You're actually being solid towards or against tears. With a T that we removed stands for tears. So, not being affected or having an indifferent kind of an attitude or hiding your feelings has got something to do with stolid. All right. And if we look at the meaning explanation, having or revealing little emotion. Now, there's one interesting thing coming here. Little is being talked about with little emotion, and let's learn a little, one more rule of the word little. Uh, I make two sentences here. I have little money, and I have a little money. Two sentences. Which sentence is correct? I have little money or I have a little money. Which one is correct? Now, you need to learn a rule over here. When I say I have little money left with me, the word little is coming without the letter A. All right? So there's no article before it. This means that we are talking about little as hardly any or almost none. Hardly any or almost none. This is the meaning that we get from this sentence. I have little money, which means hardly any money. The second one says, I have a little money. This is trying to give us the meaning of the word a little to mean some. So please remember this rule, very important rule. Whenever we use the word little without an article, it means some, it means none or almost none. And when we use it with the article, then it means some. So if you want to give a positive meaning to the word little, use a little. When you want to give a negative meaning to little, don't use any article. All right. This rule is also applicable on the word few. Few and a few. Few means hardly any, a few means some. All right. The word clandestine. Now, clandestine would give you what kind of a meaning? Now, what is the picture that is shown over here? There's a man and a woman with their backs to each other, and they're holding their hands behind their backs. So each one is holding the other's hand behind the back. What does it mean? Is it a formal way to meet anybody? It's probably a wrong way to meet somebody, or unapproved way of meeting somebody, and therefore the word clandestine would mean something negative. And if you look at the meaning of this word clandestine, it means something which is full of dishonesty, something that is illegal, illegitimate. So the word clandestine means illegitimate, something that it does not is not approved by law is called clandestine. Somebody signs a clandestine deal with another. That means he has done it unlawfully. He has done it without the permission of the authorities. So that is how we use the word clandestine. Conducted with or marked with hidden aims or methods. Hidden aims are hidden. They are not shown to others. They are not known to others. Or clandestine intelligence operations. A clandestine intelligence operation will also be something that is unlawful or illegal or illegitimate. And if we break this word, looking at the mnemonic, we break this word, then what does it mean? We are talking about the word plan in place of clan. So don't read the word clan as clan, read it as plan. And to plan it in the as something where destiny is playing a role. In other words, something we all know, destiny is all a secret. We don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And therefore, plan with destiny in mind. That means you don't know what is the truth. And therefore, planning it secretly would mean clandestine. All right. And therefore, we can understand the meaning of this word. We'll see the next word now. Pastiche. I'm sure you recognize this slide, or you were very small when this show was on TV. Now, the word pastiche. Do you know? Remember the show? The show it was about a marriage. Was it a real marriage? Or was it a marriage that was just a sham? This was a marriage that happened as a sham. It was not a real marriage. So the word pastiche also means that when something is done as a cover, something that is not true is pastiche. A, a wig that somebody uses, that is also pastiche. So anything that is unreal, a sham is called pastiche. And if you look at the meaning of the word pastiche, we will know it's a covering or bunch of hair or artificial hair used for disguise or adornment. We come across a new word, adornment. Now, what does the word adornment mean? To adorn. Adorn means to decorate. So when we use it as a decoration or a disguise, then it is called a pastiche. So artificial hair is pastiche. Something that is counterfeit, another word for something that is not true, not real, not genuine. We use the word counterfeit. So something that is counterfeit and not what it seems to be is called postiche. Now, postiche has a word imposter. Who's an imposter? An imposter is a person who uh, behaves or does things which he is not actually capable of. So he is only posing himself to be somebody that he is not. And therefore, the word postiche relates or has the word imposter. And of course, when we talk about pastiche, we also talk about cheese. For example, if somebody is taking a selfie, then what does he do? He tries to show himself as a different person, a much better looking person than he actually may be. And therefore, saying cheese to a camera would also give you the reminder of the word pastiche. So you are acting as an imposter, or somebody saying cheese in front of a camera is showing a false smile. That's how we can probably remember the word pastiche. All right. Going to the next word, we see the word as consort. Now we talk about a concert when we look at a slide like this, we probably think of a concert, which is a kind of a play or some kind of an event where lots of music is being played. Then we call it a concert. But the word here is not concert, it is consort. Consort should remind you of a word, consortium. We talk about somebody having a consortium of companies. Now, if you look at the Reliance Industries umbrella, they'll have several companies under the name Reliance. So, what do they have? They have a consortium of companies. So, this word consort relates to this meaning of consortium, which means something that is attached to, something that comes under one umbrella is called a consortium. And coming together is the meaning of the word consortium, or the word consort also means to gel, to accompany, to come in contact with, to be together is the meaning of the word consort. Like these band of musicians who are playing music and they all come together, they have to be in sync, they have to be together, they have to sing together. So that is the sense that we get of the word consort. All right. So consort literally means to be together. All right. Let's see the some more meaning also. To keep company with, hang out with, and given you a sentence also, he consorts with all kinds of strange people. That means he hangs around with them, he moves around with them, he's friends with strange people. That's what the word consort means. In the next sentence, we talk about the colors don't consort. So, what is the sense that we are giving here? They don't match, they don't gel, they don't bond, they don't come together, they are not in harmony. So, being in harmony also is the meaning of the word consort. Let me also give you one more meaning of this word consort, may not be very clearly mentioned over here. Now, when we talk about God, for example, we talk about Shiva and Parvati. Shiva and Parvati are not supposed to be called husband and wife. Although we know that they are paired together, but Shiva and Parvati, when we talk about God, we don't use the word husband and wife. Husband and wife is for human beings, it's a relationship that is meant for human beings. So, what do we use for Shiva and Parvati? We call Parvati as the consort of Shiv. That means she's the companion. She is the person who is with Shiv, who's connected with Shiv. So we don't use the word husband and wife here. We use the word consort. All right. So for gods also we use their companions to as consorts. Similarly, it has another example also. The heifers consort with the bulls to produce offspring. Who are heifers? Heifers are female cows. They're called heifers, and they consort, they accompany the bulls to produce offspring. That's what the sentence means. And if you look at the mnemonic of this word, the mnemonic will be the word concert itself, the word that we studied in the beginning, concert, which also means coming together of some people, a band of musicians coming together and performing for you, would be a concert. And concert also sounds like consort, so you should have concert in mind, but please identify the difference in the meaning of these two words. It's also talking about king and a queen, some old, king and a queen. There also we use the word consort. We don't use the word king and queen or husband and wife. We use the word consort. Musical instruments coming together. For example, tabla and harmonium coming together. They also can consort. A husband, wife, companion, or a partner is also a consort. And we also use the word consort for a ship accompanying another ship. They're called consort. So there is a sense of bonding, gelling, coming together, companionship in the word consort. Okay. Next, we look at the word exigency. The word is exigency. Now, what are we seeing over here? In this picture, we see some building which is probably on fire. We also see a fire station here, a fire truck here. We see some people running helter skelter. And what could this mean to us? The caption given here says the firefighting team worked tirelessly to deal with the exigency. It was really a very bad fire. And what could this mean? I'm sure you've guessed by now. The word exigency will have something to do with an emergency or also urgency. So anything that is urgent in nature and requires an emergency, that would be the meaning of the word exigency. And if we can look at the mnemonic of this word, it could mean emergency plus exit. So we've got X and the agency of emergency, and both together will mean exigency. All right. And of course, exit means to run fast since there's an emergency. Therefore, we use the word exigency. Any pressing or urgent situation, the healthcare exigency, we are actually going through an extreme exigency these days with coronavirus spreading so fast in different parts of the world. There is a situation which is similar to an exigency. A sudden unforeseen crisis, usually involving danger that requires immediate attention, would be an exigency. And the example given is he never knew what to do in an exigency. I'm sure most of the governments today are also going through similar kind of emotions where they don't know what should be done. We'll move on to the next word from here. Uh, the word is efficacious. Let's see the conversation taking place here. The doctor asks the patient, were the medicines I prescribed effective? You are God sent. You are God sent. God sent means somebody, you are like God to me, or you are like a messenger of God. So definitely the woman means good for the doctor. So you're God sent. They are the most efficacious drugs I have ever used. So we very clearly get an idea that she's very happy with the medicines that have been prescribed, and therefore the word efficacious should mean something that would be effective or have the desired effect, would be the meaning of the word efficacious. If we go to the mnemonics and the meaning of this word, it would mean marked by qualities giving the power to produce an intended effect. So, something that gives the desired effect is efficacious. And it also has another example where it says the medicine is efficacious in stopping a cough. Producing or capable of producing an intended result or having a striking effect is efficacious. And we talk about an efficacious law. A law that brings the desired effect is called efficacious law. And when it gives the mnemonic, it says uh, F, EFF that comes in the beginning relates to effect. All right. And what kind of an effect? It says the effect that you dreamt of. Kash aisa effect ho jaye. That is the sense that you get from efficacious. So literally it means a result that you wished or desired is efficacious. Next word we will look at, incubus. Now what is this? Have you Does it remind you of any event that happened in the past? You may be thinking of the Mumbai floods last year. No, this slide is of Mumbai, but it is not of last year. Way back, some 12 to 13 years ago, there was massive floods that happened, massive, rain that happened in Mumbai. It started around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and by about 4 o'clock, the local trains in Mumbai were to be stopped because tracks were flooded with water. So within 2 hours, Mumbai had so much rain that they had to cancel all their suburban trains. It also had a disastrous effect on the roads. The roads were flooded, their drainage system was completely blocked, their sewage was in a very bad shape, and over 1,000 people lost their lives in these 2 days. From 2 o'clock in the afternoon till the next day, there was continuous downpour, and over 1,000 lives were lost in Mumbai on that day. And this one of the scenes taken from that horrible day. Now you see the people are walking in the middle of the road. They are not using the footpaths. They are not on the side of the road. What does this show? That there are some open manholes on the sides. And since the drains are choked and blocked, water is flowing out of them. And if anybody trips and falls in one of those manholes, he'll not survive. So people avoid walking on the footpaths on the side of the road. They use the middle of the road to walk. And this is a true picture that has been taken from those days, that day of Mumbai. Many people, many school going children, because it started around 2 o'clock, many school going children did not reach home also, or reached 7 to 8 hours late because of this torrential rain that Mumbai had. And a lot of people in the evening could not go back to work, and they had to spend their night in the office itself. So it was a very, very disastrous day for Mumbai. And we have the word incubus. So the word incubus would relate to getting into some kind of a miserable situation like this. All right. And incubus would relate to uh, something where we can talk about in queue for a bus. I'm sure you people don't know what a queue for a bus is, but there were times when bus was the lifeline of a city and there were long queues that one had to manage through to reach his destination. And therefore, this was a nightmarish, uh, experience of somebody trying to catch a bus. All right. So the word incubus relates to those days when somebody had to wait for or stand in a queue to get his bus. And therefore, the word incubus relates to this mnemonic. Anyway, the explanation given here is a situation resembling a terrifying dream or someone who depresses or worries others. That means somebody who is troubling someone or is harassing someone. We use the word incubus. Let's look at the next word, flout. Not a very difficult word. We talk about flouting in various, even in sports. We talk about something getting flouted. What gets flouted? Rules, laws get flouted, rules get flouted. Look what this person is saying here. The starlet flouted the normal code and conventions of the award ceremony by bringing her dog on the stage. So probably carrying of the dog was not expected by the organizers, and therefore they are talking about flouting of the code and conventions of the award ceremony. So, flout very simply means to break a rule. To violate a rule is to flout. And the mnemonic of this word could be the mnemonic could be the word flout has the word foul. So, very clearly, when there is a foul, there is a violation of the rule, and therefore it can clearly be related to foul. All right. Now we also look at the word treat with contemptuous disregard, flout the rules. The word is contemptuous. How do we understand the word contemptuous? What is contemptuous? Contemptuous is when you look down upon others, when you feel that you are superior to others, then you are being contemptuous. Uh, of course, the word contemptuous is already given over here. There is another word, and that is disdainful. So when you are disdainful, you're looking down upon others. You think that you're superior to others. Another word is sneering. To have a sneering kind of an attitude. When you sneer at somebody, it is like you are trying to tell that person that you're much below my dignity. That kind of an attitude is called sneering. We also have a word supercilious. Supercilious also means to be to have an opinion where you feel that you are superior to others. And a very simple word that you all know probably is to be arrogant. So these are some words for being contemptuous. And the next explanation tells us laugh at with contempt and derision. Derision also means insulting somebody, making fun of somebody is derision, and therefore fits into the meaning of these words. Now, the mnemonic uh, is very clearly flout is foul and out. Therefore, committing a mistake or breaking a rule is flout. Next, if you look at the next word, oh, this is a picture that you can probably associate with or at least understand the meaning of the word. Rotund. The word is rotund. Now, what does rotund mean? I'm sure seeing the picture, you can understand what rotund would mean. It has something to do with what? A belly. A bulging belly is rotund. And if you look at the mnemonic of this word, what could it relate to? I'm sure you guessed it right. Roti and anda. So when you join roti and anda, what do you get? Rotund. So somebody who has a lot of roti and anda, what will happen to him? He'll probably have a belly like this woman. So you become rotund, and of course, rotund also has the word toned. So round toned is something that you could associate with rotund, and therefore, very clearly, the word has got the meaning within the word, and you don't have to do much head scratching to know the meaning of this word. Excessively fat, a rotund man. We also talk about sound. Somebody, using a heavy tone is called a rotund tone. Full and rich tone is called rotund. And rotund alphabets, when we try to, round off our alphabets, then we use the word rotund alphabets, or something that is round in shape or spherical in shape is called rotund. I hope all you students are actually writing these words down so that you can revise them later on also. You're not simply going through the PPT, you are making your notes also on this. Please continue to make your notes. We'll go to the next word now. Ah, the word is diabolical. This word diabolical, let me remind you, I think this was class 10th or 11th. There was a chapter in the English reader which dealt with a woman who was bitten by a scorpion. Now, whether you have it currently or not, but this was a part of class 10th or 11th structure, where they had a chapter where a woman was bitten by a scorpion, and people in the of the village had gathered together and trying to, each one was trying to recommend some way of, getting rid of the pain, but the woman would not be relieved of any pain, and all this happened. And here the word diabolical was there. So the word diabolical is not a word that you should think that this can only be learned in your graduation or post graduation program. CBSC recommended a story which had this word in class 10th or 11th. So please remember, we are dealing with words that some are already have been a part of your life earlier. All right. Now let's see the picture and let's see what this word diabolical means. What do you see? Probably a scary looking woman, and the kind of looks that she's giving are looks of maybe a witch. So the word diabolical will have something to do with a witch, isn't it? It does mean having wicked looks or wicked intentions or witch like is the sense of the word diabolical. Let's see the explanation of this word. Showing the cunningness, and another word for you, ingenuity. Ingenuity also means cunningness. It relates to being clever, but clever in the wrong manner. So, showing cunningness or ingenuity or wickedness, typical of a devil. So, diabolical relates to a devil. All right. And the diabolical expression on his face. So, a very wicked kind of an expression, something which is evil like expression is called diabolical. Extremely evil or cruel, expressive of cruelty, or something that befits hell. Befits means match. Something that is just like hell is the sense of the word befitting hell. Diabolical, sorcerers, magicians, under the influence of devils. And of course, by now you must have guessed, diabolical isn't it sounding like Dianaboli? So if you break the word, Di stands for Dian and Boli of course stands for Boli. So जब कोई Dian बोले तो क्या होता है? The word is diabolical. All right, and we always can remember this word by considering the meaning to be diaboli. Next, the word is gingerly. Now, the word is gingerly, but do we see ginger in this? Is there any sense of ginger here? Let's see if this word has any sense of ginger. Although they've used the word gingerly, but does it mean ginger? I don't see ginger on the table also. So, does the word gingerly have the meaning of the word ginger? Okay. Well, the meaning is out there. It's given to you. Something that is done very carefully is gingerly. When you do something in a very careful manner, then you are doing it gingerly. To separate egg whites, first crack the egg gingerly. So, if you need the whites separated from the yolk, then what do you need to do? You need to crack the egg gingerly, very slowly, gently, carefully. That is the meaning of the word gingerly. And if you look at the uh, mnemonic of this, it would be, let's look at the meaning first. With extreme care or delicacy, the issue was handled only in a gingerly manner. So when India was in talks with Pakistan, we haven't had talks with them for a very long time now. But when India or Pakistan was in talks with us, they were very delicate issues. So one had to handle it in a very careful manner. Therefore, a very experienced, some senior person would be involved in the talks. So things were handled in a very gingerly manner. All right. Uh, Here we talk about gingerly. I raise the edge of the blanket gingerly. Now, what do we mean by this? For example, the mother wants to check whether the child has gone off to sleep or not. So he slowly or she slowly raises the side of the blanket to check whether the child is asleep or not. And it is done very gently and softly. That is how we use the word gingerly. But it also has a mnemonic which is now telling you how ginger can be associated with gingerly. It says ginger. Ginger has tiny threads in it. They're very delicate. And if you have to remove the threads from the ginger, you have to use your knife very carefully. All right. This is where the meaning of the word ginger comes in the word gingerly. So if you're asked to remove these threads from the ginger, you'll have to be very very gentle with the knife, and only then you can probably separate the threads from the ginger, and therefore ginger is related to gingerly. Ah, okay, another movie slide. So we know these characters. The movie you remember? Yes. And the word is loquacious. Do I need to say any further? You see the movie and you see the word. And this word applies to the lady, not to the man. I'm sure you can understand the meaning of the word loquacious. Now, just to give you a breakup of the word loquacious has LOQU. All right. Now, loquacious or LOQU or even LOCU both mean to speak. We use this word in eloquent, a person being eloquent in French. So, when we say he's very eloquent in French, what are we talking about? That he speaks French without any hesitation, without any break. So the flow of the language comes very smoothly to him. That's what we mean by the word eloquently. All right. So in some schools, we also have a competition known as an elocution contest. An elocution contest is a contest where you're asked to speak. So the word loquacious has the meaning of the word speak. And when we say locu, or which means to speak, and acious, what does it mean? To speak a lot is loquacious. So speaking a lot, or a common word talkative, is loquacious. We have another word for loquacious and talkative, and that is garrulous. Garrulous also means talkative or loquacious. Speaking a lot is loquacious or garrulous. Let's look at the mnemonic of this word. He tells us loca sounds like mocha. So when we talk about the mocha cafe, and it's similar to loca. So what do we do in a cafe when we gossip and we talk over a cup of coffee? Then this place becomes loquacious, or we become loquacious when we visit this place. So remember loquacious to have the meaning of the word mocha, a mocha cafe where we go and chat with friends and do a lot of talking. Therefore, the word loquacious relates to being talkative. Full of trivial conversation. See, when we are discussing a lot of knowledge, information, then we can't use the word loquacious. Loquacious will relate to when we are talking senseless things, meaningless things, or simply gossiping. Then we use the word loquacious. So, a person who talks a lot does not mean he talks a lot of sense. It means that he talks of a lot of irrelevant things. So, trivial conversation, unimportant conversation, kept from her housework by loquacious neighbors. So, neighbors kept disturbing her and she could not do her household chores. So, that would relate to loquacious. We'll go to the next word now. Grimace. Look at the word grimace and then see what the captions are saying. The young boy grimaced when he saw an amount of homework he had to do. So, when he saw a lot of homework to be done, what happened? He grimaced. How do you react when you get a lot of homework? Remember those days? For last 6 months, I'm sure you've been home only, so no homework being given. Everything is homework only now. But then, in your earlier school days, a lot of homework meant what? What kind of an expression did you make? Not very happy. All right. So, making an expression that is not very happy is called a grimace. It gives you a meaning here, a facial expression which expresses disgust or pain. Now, imagine somebody, a person who's younger than you, smaller than you, and you raise your hand to frighten him. For example, a child, you raise your hand to frighten him. What kind of a look will you expect from him? A kind of a look where he's trying to, hide his face, cover his face, save himself from being beaten. So that kind of fear on his face is a grimace. So when you express some kind of disgust, some kind of fear, some kind of pain on your face, then it is a grimace. Even sometimes, when you show some kind of dislike, then also there is a grimace on the face. All right. But that's not a very good thing to do. One should always have a very pleasant kind of appearance so that it helps you be good also and helps others also associate with you. So, grimace is not something that we should do. We should take these challenges or problems that come to us very gracefully. Uh, if you look at the mnemonic, this should probably make you laugh at the mnemonic. Grimace sounds like Himesh, and you all know how our dear Himesh Shamia sings with the twisting of his face and the facial expressions. So he sings with a lot of grimace or twisting of his face. Uh, Facial distortion. So, distorting the face, contorting the face, changing the facial expressions, stretching the muscles of the face is all grimace. Contort the face to indicate a certain mental or emotional state. He grimaced when he saw the amount of homework he had to do, and she made a grimace at the prospect. So, when there's some suggestion being made and somebody makes a face when you don't like it, that is also a grimace. We'll move to the next word now. uh, irate. Uh, his face is also grimace. He's got a grimace on his face. He's grimacing. So, what does it mean? He doesn't like the situation. This word is very common when we have winter months, and when we read in the newspapers, 27 flights cancelled at Delhi airport yesterday morning. Now, what happens when 27 flights get cancelled because of fog? Are the passengers happy? No. What do? They react. Somebody is waiting for last 2 hours, waiting for an announcement to come, but no announcement comes. 4 hours later, he comes to know that his flight is cancelled or rescheduled. So what does he do? He gets angry. So this is the meaning of the word irate. When people show anger, when they show disappointment, when they're furious, then we use the word irate. So we talk about irate passengers heckle the airport manager. That means these people showed displeasure, anger towards the airport manager. So that's how we use this word irate. Angry is the word irate. Uh, Feeling or showing extreme anger, irate protesters, angry protesters. And irate relates to, it says eyes red. So when you feel angry, your eyes get red. And therefore, irate relates to eyes red. And therefore, it shows that you are angry. So irate is angry. Next word, guild. Ever come across this word, guild? You've heard of the word guilty or guilt, but not guild. What is guild? Now, I'm sure you'll be able to understand it from here. It says the shopkeepers guild took out a rally to convey their demands to the government. So there's a shopkeepers guild. And what are they saying? Look at the demands. We need better facilities. We need cheaper insurance. Value us. These are the kind of slogans that they are raising uh, against the government. And we're talking about shopkeepers guild. So, and we also see this word written here. So, what are we talking about actually? Don't you feel that this group that is demonstrating here or carrying out the protest are all shopkeepers? So the word guild means belonging to a particular profession, belonging to a certain group of people which have a common interest. So we could talk about the students' guild. We could talk about the teachers' guild. We could talk about the engineers' guild. There could be a conference happening in Mumbai and they call it an engineers' guild, a doctors' guild. So, all this relates to belonging to a particular group or having some common area in them, among them, that is called a guild. If you look at the meaning of the word, we get a formal association of people with similar interests or belonging to a similar profession. He joined the golf guild. So, golf guild also, golfers may come together and form an association that would be called a golf guild. All right. Now, any of you heard of this game? I'll not ask you if you played this game or not, but ask your parents, they would definitely know this game. So, anybody heard of this game? I'm sure some of you may have heard this game or may have watched it on, TV also. Uh, Gulli Danda. Now, we would, there was a time when this was a very favorite game or pastime of a lot of people in India, and it could not happen with only one person. You always required a group of people or at least two people to form a group of Gulli Danda players, and therefore a guild was very important to play this game. All right, so please remember this word through the game of Gulli Danda. Now, here we see a man who's got probably so many countries in mind, and he's trying to manage his affairs between London, Paris, Chicago, Kenya, and God knows how many other places. But what does his appearance show? Is he worried? Is he happy? Is he enjoying? Or there is some kind of tension in his head? I'm sure the expression that shows is that he's got a lot of tension in his head. So the word that we are dealing with is excogitate. Excogitate actually means to think deeply, to think a lot, to the word ruminate. Something where, you go into your deep thoughts. Then we use the word excogitate. Let's look at the explanation of this word. Come up with an idea or an explanation, theory, principle after a mental effort. Therefore, you have to use a lot of, your thinking powers to come to a solution, come to some kind of an answer to your problems. Then we use the word excogitate. Excogitate, a way to measure the speed of light. So trying to figure out how can we do it. So deep thinking is excogitate. Meditate is also a word for it. Think deeply about a subject or question over a period of time. The scientist must stop to observe and start to excogitate. And the word that he's talking about, excogitate, in excogitate, is the word Gita, our holy book. So it says, if you try to think about Gita or read Gita, there's a lot of deep thinking that you have to do, because there are a lot of lessons to be learned from the book called Gita. And therefore we need to understand it a lot. All right. And we'll stop here, and we'll continue this in another session. Thank you.